We welcome in the new coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Coen, who joins us now. Liam, how are you?
Frank, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's great having you here. And let me tell you, I've seen a lot of introductory press conferences. Man, you look excited. And it was cool. I mean, it looked very real. Tell me what these last few days have been like. And can you exhale yet? What's it been like?
As you imagine, a whirlwind. It has been. It's never easy when you're leaving a place, right? It's always hard. Family, friends, loved ones, players, coaches. It's always hard, but seeing what was on the other side is really what made this thing special. And you started to see, what could this be? What can this be? What it already is pretty cool. But this thing could be pretty special, and it's the people that make it that way. And I'm excited about adding to that.
I talked to Tony Baselli and some others in the interview, and they were blown away by how prepared, how excited, how ready you were for this. How do you get ready for this? How do you got all these people in the room and you got to answer all these questions. How do you prepare for this?
I think the best advice that I was given was just go truly be yourself. And that's, I know it sounds cliche. Yeah. And I think going into this season here in Tampa, actually, I was probably my most truest, authentic self that I've ever been. And results kind of followed. And so you start to look at and reassess yourself, right? And self-evaluate and reflect and say, okay, how do you go into a process where you got nothing to lose? You got a great opportunity here. Let's go truly be ourselves and see what happens. And when you get up in an interview and start doing a 3-step drop and talk in front of a bunch of guys and you go through it, I think that you're probably looking at me like I'm a little crazy, but that's me. And, I'm truly appreciative of that opportunity.
When you got to Tampa, Baker Mayfield's a really good player, and he's been his first overall pick. Of course, he's a good player.
Yep.
But you unlocked something that had not been unlocked. How did you, in 1 year, connect with him and with that offense in such a way that you changed it so dramatically?
First of all, just the honesty up front. Like, we come in, this is what I think guys can help you, make you guys better players, right? Once we truly connect with each player, and say, how is your role and responsibility need to improve? Your 3 best things you did last year and the 3 things we think that you can do better. Well, once we established those things with those players, I think they saw an investment in them early on. And then we collectively took that data and that information and said, well, this is what it looks like offensively. This is what it looks like from our identity to truly put this thing together and be able to take it to another level, right? That was a successful that's a successful organization over the last few years. It's been a successful offense overall, but the run game, the culture, the identity, that was something that we were proud of in terms of improving that area.
Liam, how did you build your offense? Dad ran the wishbone.
That's right.
And I'm an old guy now. I love the wishbone.
Yep.
We old guys love that, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But your dad,
you
were with a number of coaches. You talked about Mark Whipple, who's such a good offensive line. We all know about Sean McVay.
Right.
Is that what you do? Do you take all that, and how does that all happen?
That's right. That's exactly what it is. It's a blend of everything, right? Where in terms of, as a young kid, watching him coach, watching my dad coach, and seeing how he treated people, how he talked to the players. I was in all those locker rooms. So you start to learn a fundamental idea of what you want it to look like as a young kid. And then you start to learn, right? You start to get with some of these coaches you mentioned with Mark Whipple, Phil Estes, Don Brown, and get into it with Sean and be around some of the guys that were in that building with Sean and I. It's pretty special, right? It's pretty special to be able to see. But that's what it comes down to is pulling pieces from all of those different systems and offenses and say, okay, this is what you want it to look like. And I think that's what it ultimately became.
What have you seen from this group? It's hard because you're coaching your team, and I get that. But you practiced here a couple days last week. What have you seen as best you can from Trevor? What have you seen on tape from Brian Thomas Jr.? What have you seen?
Well, I remember when, practicing here, we were on the other side, and I kept hearing oohs and ahs, and I kept looking over, and I'm like, geez, what happened? So I went back and watched the tape. Well, geez, man, they're lighting it up, doing some good things, and then you start to really look into this job, right? And you start to watch more tape, watch more, and you start to see the competitiveness of these guys, the opportunity, obviously with BTJ, with him ability to go in the slot and do some of the things he was able to do. I didn't know he had that skill set, so that was such a pleasant surprise to see. And then you see the two running backs, the quarterback, obviously, some of the pieces on the O-line that we can continue to improve on. And it's the overall theme of, man, this is not a 4-win team. Hey, how do we go from losing games, right, and beating ourselves? Hey, we're going to get beat, right? That's going to happen at some point, right? But if we don't beat ourselves, we got a much better chance of beating our opponent as well.
Final thing or two, because they got you loaded up here, so I appreciate you spending some time.
Thank you.
What's next, Liam? Is it hiring coaches?
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, it's a whirlwind still, I know, but what's the plan now?
Yeah, the fundamental focus right now is to go hire the best staff that we can possibly put together for these players. That is the number one focus. Starts with the defensive coordinator position. Feel really good about being able to move on to the offense after we've done some of the work on the defensive side of the football first and foremost. Obviously, want to try to get the special teams taken care of. I think I've got a ton of respect for Heath and what he did. Love to be able to try to get that one locked in and get him back here, man. That's a fundamental piece that I would love to be able to get that done.
Okay.
I think we're really in a good spot with him. And that's the first thing, guys, right? That's the first thing we need to do is get this staff taken care of and then move on to the next task. But that's the only thing. And really, honestly, guys, within this week, getting to know these players more. That's got to be the focus.
Yeah, so hopefully you're talking to Heath, who's very good.
Yeah. I have.
Is the important thing with is offensive offensive line the big thing for a play caller?
Yeah.
Is that like position A as you try to build the staff?
Yes, that's the number one thing that we need to really get right. That is such an important position. When you go into a game plan, what we think about is how do we take care of and protect and make the game easier for the quarterback and the offensive line on the offensive side of the ball. On the flip side of it, defensively, how do we impact and affect the quarterback and the offensive line? That's really what we're trying to get accomplished. So the O-line hire, that process, that culture, all of what goes into that position, that's going to be one of the top hires that we make this year.
Liam Coen, the head coach. Let me echo something the mayor just told you. You're going to love this city. Your wife's going to love it. Your family's going to love it. Hey, man, it's great having you here. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
All right, Liam Coen, the brand new Jaguar coach, is in his first day on the job. We'll take a break. More in a moment. Stay
Appreciate
with us.
it.
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.